Good morning from this direct broadcast from the Palma Congress and Convention Center. Welcome to the presentation by the Government of the Balearic Islands at this virtual edition of ITB Berlin Fair. We would like to thank all the members of the media who once again this year have come to see firsthand what our destination has to offer the German market and the people of Germany. In a moment, the President of the Balearic Islands, Francina Armengol, and the Regional Minister for Economic Model, Tourism and Labour, Iago Negueruela, will outline the various strategic approaches that the Balearic Islands are implementing to help boost tourism and reactivate the islands as a destination for tourists. After their talks, you will be able to ask your questions through the chat room of this session. Now, without further ado, allow me to introduce the President of the Balearic Islands, Francina Armengol. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I want to thank you for your interest in this press conference, which comes at a very special moment for us. The ITB is always an important event for our islands, a fair that also strengthens our ties with our friends from Germany, who are more than a business partner and our main tourist customer. Decades of intense relationship make many in Germany consider us part of their lives, and that sentiment, which is reciprocal, has forged during all along these years a fundamental relationship for our economy, but also for who we are as a society, open, European and welcoming. The ITB is therefore the perfect reason to meet again every year, to synchronize our economic moments and prepare for the most intense months of our islands, in which we have become the favorite destination of millions of German men and women. But this ITB is something more. After such a hard year of deprivations and sacrifices marked by the irreparable pain that the virus has left, we begin to regain confidence, to see the end of this crisis approaching. The time is coming to meet again, to reactivate our tourism and to welcome you again. And that's why it is so special. These islands and their people, whom you know perfectly well, are looking forward to seeing you again, to share experiences and good times in Mallorca, Minorca, Ibiza and Formentera. To do this, we have worked very hard over the last month, controlling a pandemic that we have led to minimum levels since it erupted a year ago. And we will work even harder all the spring, standing firm on a strategy that makes these islands one of the European regions with the lowest incidence of the virus and with a lower accumulated mortality. This strategy, closely aligned with that of countries such as Germany, puts health security as a condition prior to each step. And that has led us to be the only Spanish region that renounced Christmas relaxation, something that you also did in Germany, and which has proven its effectiveness. Today, our islands have one of the most prevalent virus incidence casualties, with 55 cases at 7 days per 100,000 inhabitants, compared with 137 of Germany and 142 for the whole of Spain. If we look at the islands, for 14 days we have 55 cases per 100,000 inhabitants compared with 137 of Germany or the 142 of the whole of Spain. That makes us already today the Mediterranean destination with the lowest incidence, with figures that continue to decline in contrast to other tourist regions of our environment, such as Turkey or Greece, which triple or even multiply by 4 the incidence that we register in the Balearic Islands. Caution, therefore, pays off. It demands that we have reinforced our tracking equipment and that we have turned into one of the Spanish communities with the most screening tests made. That is the path that leads to normality, to reopening to tourism and leisure. The path that will lead to a summer that must be much better than the previous one. For that purpose, we are already working with some of the main tour operators, airlines and agencies on the German market, with the objective that these islands will be, as of April, and especially as of June, the leading tourist destination of the Mediterranean, as it was before the pandemic. Therefore, and also checking that in recent days, countries like Italy, France, and destinations like Greece and Turkey detect new upturn in cases, we will continue to use the utmost caution during the spring, despite the fact that our contagion figures continue to be low in decline. We will thus reopen our activities slowly, checking the effect of each step towards reopening before taking the next one, and in agreement about everything with our employers and workers, with employers and unions, which, together with the citizens of the islands, are the key to explain that we are a community with the best health situation, because they have understood that only with rigorous health there will be tourism. That only by controlling the virus we will be able to receive travelers and reopen to friendly important countries like Germany. This is a slow de-escalation which we have already started. We will go gradually recovering spaces and businesses in freedom and comfort. This will allow us in parallel to advance rapidly with the vaccination. Right now in Spain exceeds 10 vaccines administered per 100 inhabitants, a figure almost identical to that of Greece and Turkey, also 10, and slightly higher than that of Germany, which is 9. Like the whole of Europe, these islands have gone accelerating week by week the vaccination campaign, marked by global vaccine shortages. Despite this week we have started the first phases of mass vaccination of the population at a rate that we will continue to increase during the month of April and May. In this way, the first step of the campaign is almost completed. Vaccination of the older population has been completed, also that of essential professionals, including healthcare professionals and those over 80 years of age. Because we know that protecting our vulnerable ones saves lives and also guarantees the perfect operation of one of our greatest strengths as a society. We have one of the best health systems, which we have been reinforcing uninterruptedly for 5 years, and which now has allowed us to stop the virus. And it also allows us to have the capacity to vaccinate more than 120,000 people per week on an island with 1.2 million inhabitants. All this should allow us to reach the month of June with the confidence that the population at greater risk will be fully immunized, and with the assurance that this, together with the homogeneous mechanisms for getting around Europe, such as COVID tests and vaccination certificates, will lead us to start a tourist season in which we want to start leaving the pandemic behind. A season which, with the most vulnerable population protected and sanitary sufficiency more than assured, we will open the new spaces for leisure and enjoyment for citizens of this island and for those who visit us. We will also do it backed by the experience of last year. That effort, carried out mainly by our entrepreneurs and workers, allowed to apply security protocols that prevented infection and saved lives, while maintaining tourist activity. In fact, today we know that there was no outbreak of contagions in our tourist accommodations. We also work transferring proposals to the government of Spain and the rest of the countries of the Union, so to regain mobility. And with the same recipe, security, safety, and more security. We therefore propose a system that allows those already immunized to move and at the same time give certainty and tranquility to the rest of the population with screening tests at the time of travel. It is essential that the European Union learns its lesson of the last month and approves a homogeneous system to navigate the entire region. It is key for destinations like those of the Balearic Islands, but also for all Europeans. Citizens want to return to travel. They want to start leaving behind quietly and safely this nightmare. It is time to take steps, little by little, And surely, as we do in our islands, with tracing, with tests, with safe mobility, with friendly, healthy protocols, and effective vaccination. That is what we do here. That puts us in the best circumstances possible to receive you with open arms. We have the best health situation in the Mediterranean. We have a tourism sector committed to citizens and visitors. And we remain what made us the preferred destination of Germans. We are the closest paradise. Islands who are committed to the protection of nature and sustainability. Destinations such as Mallorca, Menorca, Ibiza, and Formentera that offer the best gastronomic offer and culture, a leisure offer of the highest quality, and the knowledge and affection strengthened by the years of relationship with Germany. Today, we are closer to seeing each other again and to go back to share the best moments of the
Madam
year.
President.
We await you with
I'll now
open
make way
arms.
for Iago
Thank you
Negueruela,
very much
Minister
for your
for the
attention.
Economic Model, Tourism and Labor. Minister.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank you for your presence here today at one of the main tourist fairs in the world, to which one more year, and despite the circumstances, the Balearic Islands come to show our commitment to the German market. Even if it's a virtual stand, the ITB is an unmissable event for the Balearic Islands, especially in this edition, since we are in a key moment for the tourism industry, hugely hit by the crisis generated by the COVID-19, which has affected all tourist destinations without exception. However, from the first moment, the government of the Balearic Islands have concentrated on reversing the situation and providing proposals and solutions as soon as possible to restart the activities to recover tourist flows between Germany and the Balearic Islands. And we already proved that last year with the implementation of a pilot plan that showed the world that the Balearic Islands have not stopped being a safe destination and that they were prepared to restart with tourism. And so it will be this year. The Balearic Islands will continue to be a touristic power, and as they always have been. And our objective is that in 2021, we will open safe corridors with different regions of Germany that guarantee the arrival of German tourists this summer to our islands. We know that there is a tourist demand to the Balearic Islands, and we are working on getting it back as soon as we can. We are a safe and attractive destination, and we have aimed to reinforce security and establishing safe corridors for getting visitors back as soon as possible. German tourism is essential for the Balearic Islands, and at the same time, the islands are one of the favorite destinations for visitors from Germany who value aspects such as safety, quality, and infrastructures, the good value for money, the climate, and the closeness. And so it must continue to be in the near future, when once and for all we can turn the page and overcome this difficult moment. The Balearic Islands historically is the first region with most German tourists. And although in 2020 the figures plummeted for obvious reasons, for us to build loyalty and consolidate the market with Germany is very important. And therefore, in the Balearic Islands, we have worked very much since the very beginning for the islands to continue to be seen from the outside as a safe destination. And in a context like the current one, that takes place taking due steps to ensure your health and well-being during the stay in the islands. Last year, we already proved with our measures in all workplace and the well-being of the tourists that came to our islands that we can do so. In order to redouble our efforts, we will do everything we can to reactivate our sector. The interest in traveling to the Balearic Islands remains intact, and to achieve that becomes a reality again, we will define strategies together with all the islands. We have always tried to offer the best security in tourism. We are one of the best Spanish communities regarding COVID-19. We know that this is key. Without health, we will have no tourism. Therefore, we work to reduce the levels of contagion in the Balearic Islands so that we can be positioned as the safe destination that we are. We know that until we don't have measures such as vaccinations, we have to keep deciding which kind of protocols we will use to protect our visitors, our citizens, and our workers. I would like to also let you know that in the website of the government of the Balearic Islands and in the IT website, you can find all the regulations that we are using and implementing in order to avoid that this disease carries on spreading. And they are compulsory both for tourists and residents. We want the tourists to be informed. We want him to know what is the reality of the destination, and we want them to know how we control the situation. That is the only way that we can be a safe destination, as we have always been and as we will continue to be. Therefore, in the next month, the coordination will be maximum among all the sectors of our islands, both public and private, in order to ensure that the reopening of our destination is done with maximum security measures in all of our islands. And that is the only way that we will become, again, the reference destination that we have always been. And we will carry on to do so to guarantee a balance in the territory, in our economy, and in our society. And one more time, with the aim of leaving behind this pandemic. Sustainability is key for a tourist destination. We must take care of that. And precisely because of that, it is important to carry on working around different axes that will allow different sectors of tourism to visitors. We will support sustainability, both environmental and social. This government really wants to have a sustainable tourism. And this is not only a must for us, but also a must to carry on having the value that we have as a tourist destination, and also for our companies. We have been undergoing a lot of changes lately caused by the epidemic, but as we know, the history of our territory has been capable of really facing this crisis, and we have come out of it sooner than other regions in Spain with positive, very positive numbers when other regions had negative numbers. But this crisis has to help us to define a scenario that we had already thought about before the pandemic. So a quality level of tourism and in a healthy economy. So our objective nowadays is to go back to the day.
We'll now open the floor to questions that have been sent to the chat during the session. The President of the Balearic Islands and the Minister for the Economic Model, Tourism and Labor will answer the questions.
La primera pregunta es, ¿pueden los turistas pasar las vacaciones de Semana Santa en Mallorca este año? ¿Cuántos hoteles estarán abiertos? TUI ya ha dicho que comenzará las operaciones. Our idea, as we were explaining, is to ensure the tourism season. It is true that hotels in our autonomous community do not have restrictions for opening. And obviously, if we have planes arriving and there are no restrictions in Germany to reach our autonomous community, obviously they'll be able to stay here. It is obvious, however, that due to the restrictions that the citizens are living in these islands, this clearly is something that the tourists must follow as well. In Spain, for international tourists of the Schengen countries, the restrictions are that if you come from a region with more than 150 cases for 100,000 or per 100,000 inhabitants, you have to come with a PCR test taken 72 hours prior to traveling from the country that you come from. La siguiente pregunta es, ¿cuándo empezarán a funcionar los corredores seguros entre Alemania y Baleares? ¿En qué medidas están trabajando? Well, we are working from the government of the Balearic Islands together with the government of Spain, with the different ministries. 2 weeks ago, I was with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Minister of Tourism in order to open those safe corridors. And these obviously are competences that are above our autonomous community, so we share together with the Spanish government that responsibility and the decision-making, something that we also work together with the German government and the European Union. We have also been working with different levels of diplomatic representatives of Germany, with TUI, and with different representatives of the tourism sector. We want to open those safe corridors with Germany as soon as possible, but in very high health conditions, both for our residents and for those who are going to visit us. La siguiente pregunta es, ¿qué opinan del certificado de vacunación que se está debatiendo actualmente en la Unión Europea?
Nosotros somos totalmente favorables a ese.
We are in favor.
Nosotros somos absolutamente favorables.
We are absolutely in favor.
Somos absolutamente favorables.
We are absolutely in favor.
Somos absolutamente favorables a ese certificado de
We
vacunación.
are absolutely in favor of this vaccination passport. We have, in fact, agreed with the government of Spain that once we have it, the Balearic Islands should be the pilot area to make those tests for this vaccination passport. I think this will give us a lot of security, both for the people who have already been vaccinated, for those who visit, and for those who are here. So we think it's another way of guaranteeing this mobility that is so necessary. But this is not the only way of traveling. That's why we also give a lot of importance to the safety corridors and to the agreements that we might reach between us and the European Union in order to have the mobility that is allowed according to the numbers in different countries. But we do think that this is a step forward and something that we have to share. We need to share the strategy to be able to have the mobility across Europe and across the world if possible. I think this is one of the mistakes we did last year.
We must now conclude this presentation by the government of the Balearic Islands at this new edition of the ITB Berlin. It has been a pleasure to share this time with all of you, and we hope to welcome you back soon to our islands. Dankeschön. Wir sehen uns bald.